I thought I'd take a moment to actually create a short tutorial video for the new release of Assetto Corsa EVO. The game was officially released on Thursday, January 16th, with the early access to the beta version of the game, and so far there have been some mixed reactions from the sim racing community. I myself just got into sim racing 2 weeks ago, so being fresh and new to the sim racing experience, some of the bugs I came across were very minor, with the simple fix of just restarting the app, and the issue was resolved from there. I won't get too deep into that issue since it was just a one-time deal, but basically I wasn't getting any force feedback on my racing wheel upon launching the application. This happened only twice for me, and after restarting it, everything worked from there. Anyways, as we're moving into day 3 with the beta version, if you're new like me and want to hear my overall driving experience with the third installment, hopefully this is the right channel for you. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial and then onto the track for some thorough feedback. So we are here on the home page with the navigation panel above. You want to click on the settings button and then over to the control settings. The configuration settings are pretty direct and very intuitive for first-time players, which is a nice user-friendly feature that Kunos and 505 delivered. Now, depending on your racing wheel setup, you may only have the racing wheels with the pedals, but not the shifter. So in this case, I would just start up with the racing wheel bind-in walkthrough first, and then go over to the shifter. If you don't have the shifter, you could just simply skip over the shift and bind-in walkthrough portion. Right above on the option panel, you want to select the current racing wheel component that you are using. Also, you want to make sure that the car field property is selected. For myself, I am using the Thrustmaster T300 RS wheel and pedal setup. Right off the bat, you can see that I have pre-configured the racing wheel settings along with the pedals. To bind your wheel and pedal, you simply want to click on the car action field property. So for example, when I click on throttle, you get a pop-up menu requesting to set the control binding. So in this case, you will press down on the pedal, which then automatically binds the control setting. Also, make sure to bind your paddle shifter properties. Next, for your shifter setup, you want to click the gear shift icon. Scroll down to the shifter gear properties and click on each gear for the binding process. Once you get the control binding pop-up menu, just simply shift into each gearbox slot on the shifter. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Kunos and 505 made it very seamless for both current and newcomers to the platform and isn't over complex for players. The one last thing that we're going to do is to set up the player assist settings. The player assist settings basically pre-configures your vehicle controls such as the gearbox, the clutch, the ignition, the headlights, and more. It's important to note that if you are using a shifter, you have to make sure that the automatic clutch and automatic clutch on start are turned off to shift properly when driving on the track. From a newbie's perspective, I highly recommend selecting the Pro Assist settings so you can become familiar with the realism of the vehicle, the response, and the feedback while you're racing on the track. I made the mistake on tuning the stability control at 10% on the first installment on the first week of driving, and later became difficult to adjust to the Pro settings without the stability control. So definitely do yourself a huge favor and jump right into the Pro Assist settings and practice from there. Alright, finally, now we can get into the driving experience. Right off the bat, you can see that I've been practicing with the GR86 Hakone edition, and so far I'm really happy and impressed with how smooth and responsive it is. The steering, the force feedback, the clutch, and the brakes all feel so real. Kunos did an amazing job fine-tuning the 86 exactly to how it feels in real life, and honestly, after spending a week prior with the first installment and driving not just the GR86, but also the MX-5, I'm really looking forward to the final version of EVO for fall of 2025. As far as the selection of cars on EVO, I think there are many great choices to select from, and the fact that there's a wide range of vehicles for both newcomers and experienced sim racers definitely provides a great path to make progress as you play. Which, I'm really curious to see how the EVO Academy mode is going to turn out on the platform. I think it may be actually a great sandbox environment for newcomers to really take the time in improving their driving skills and becoming really acclimated to the driving experience. Personally, when it comes to sports driving in general, I think that the two best vehicles to start off with for any newcomer to the platform would either be the MX-5 or the GR86. And again, that's my personal opinion based on my experience in being part of the car community. Last but not least, and keep in mind that Assetto Corsa is a game that trains you how to really push yourself to the limits on the track. When racing and practicing against the AI, you'll start to notice a major improvement in your lap time once you become really familiar with the track course. On the first week of setting up my racing wheel, I took the time in playing the first installment of Assetto Corsa and really noticed how hard I had to push myself and adapt while racing against the AI. Now, granted, yes, the difficulty setting was set to about 90% for the opponents, but that drive to really push and perfect each lap when hitting the corners, the apex, trail braking, you really get that motivation to become a better driver. Overall, if I were to rate Assetto Corsa EVO to newcomers, I would tell them that the game is 8 out of 10, and it's definitely worth getting into for the racing simulation experience. So, that basically wraps up my experience as a newcomer to the platform, and I'm really looking forward to the final version this fall. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to hit that like button. Other than that, drive well, and take care.